I have come to believe that there's two strengths to the team, and one of them is unproven. The other one is proven. I am very, very bullish on the wide receivers now. Listen, you don't like Malachi Riley. I get that. By the way, Malachi Riley now following and interacting with me on Twitter, so we will. He's listening, Sheer. But joking aside, you do like Malachi Riley. You've got the best wide receiver in the nation at Tetairoa McMillan. The way that he was walking around at media day, the way he was talking, you could tell that he feels that he is going to be vintage T-Mac by the first game. I don't know if that's realistic or not because you got to still, get some of the rust. But I expect him to have a monster season.
Yeah, the wide receivers are interesting to me because, like
start
you said,
start with T-Mac.
Yeah, well, T-Mac is out. I have no issue. I mean,
you have no issues with T-Mac?
Yeah, I think he's good. What's crazy about T-Mac is I asked him about last season. He's like, yeah, I didn't play well. And I don't think it was BS. Like, I think he legitimately doesn't think he was all that good last year, which is just crazy to me when you look at his numbers. But he changes everything. Like, when you have an elite receiver, it changes everything. When you have two elite receivers, it's basically unstoppable in college football because teams don't have elite corners beyond maybe one. The fact that T-Mac is going to demand the other team's best corner every single game and probably win that battle or come close to it is a very, very big deal for this offense.
Yeah, now let's talk about some of the unproven names, but I think ones that I think are going to be very, very good. Malachi Riley, obviously. I love Malachi Riley. Here's what I like about Malachi Riley, too, is that I think some people in last year, I know he only had like 6 catches for 70 yards, which it felt like he had more, but it did whenever we watched him in camp, when we watched him in practice, he's one of those players that just kind of gets behind the defense. Like, you look around and you're like, hey, he's open down there. And I remember when Arizona got him at the, a little bit later on in the class, I remember because if I'm not mistaken, it was between him and Spivey who went to Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because everybody thought it was going to be Spivey. And then I remember, some of the people on the staff saying, no, this kid's better. Trust us. This kid's better. I look for a big year out of Malachi Riley. I think he's going to open some eyes. And I think that's why Jason Shear has glasses on right now.
If I remember, the thing that happened with Riley is I think it was his junior, maybe it was his senior year that wasn't great for a variety of reasons. So people kind of backed off him a little bit. And Arizona said, we don't care. He's awesome. On a normal team with a wide receiver rotation, Riley plays last year. Right. I think that, the thing with him is he was good enough to play. They just, as we know, Jedd Fisch didn't rotate wide receivers at all. Right. And so, no, you're not, Mike. You're good.
Okay.
But yeah, and so when you take a look at a guy like Riley, now he's finally going to have a role. I expect him to put up good numbers. Like, I know, joking aside, I don't expect him to put up the numbers that you think he's going to put up. But I think part of that is also that I think Arizona is going to spread the ball a little bit more this season.
Well, I'm looking for Malachi Riley as a player that emerges as a very viable number 2, and we can go into next season saying, man, he's got the potential to be the number 1. That's what I'm looking for his progression this year, and I think that he's got that potential.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think he's got potential. I think right now we would both agree that right now he's more potential than production.
Yeah, of course,
obviously. But if he meets that potential and that potential turns into production, he's going to be great.
Okay, now let's talk about your guy, Montana Lemonius-Craig. You and our good friend John Brogan have bought all the way in on Montana Lemonius-Craig, Inglewood's finest. Now, here's the deal with Montana Lemonius-Craig. You look at him and he looks the part. He looks the part unlike any wide receiver on the team. You can certainly see why he was a highly rated, highly thought of kid coming out of high school. He just has never really produced. Now, at Colorado, I get that you could say, well, there wasn't a lot of talent there. Very true. Very true. I get it. Last year, though, he didn't really produce either. And I guess my concern in all of this is we saw the previous year that Dorian Singer was able to produce as that third wide receiver. So it's not like there weren't enough balls to go around. I mean, Ben White always mentions that when it comes to Montana Lemonius-Craig. But that to me is where I need to see it. I need to see it, Sheer.
There's got to be something there, though, right? Like, Colorado liked him. Jedd Fisch liked him. This coaching staff likes him. He's probably going to start. Like, they did the thing where they played the video game at midfield, and it was 4 players on the team, and one of them was Montana. Like, Bobby Wade called him one of the captains of the room. Like, they like him, and he's a very good blocker. I get that. I know that we both kind of think that that's great, but he's not an offensive lineman. He's a wide receiver.
He's still supposed to catch the ball.
Right, but we'll see. I mean, there's got to be something there in practice or the film room or something that all these coaching staffs like him.
All right, now let's talk Ramelo Murphy, a person on the staff who he was telling me, he told me the other day, by the way, he texted me and he did not respond to your question that I was supposed to ask. So take that for what it's worth. But he told me, he said, this kid's going to play. He's talking about Ramelo Murphy. He says he's probably the most unique wide receiver on the roster. I mean, because again, a lot of these guys are bigger, long striders. He said, honestly, he was probably underrated coming out of high school, and we're lucky we got him. And obviously, Les Fafita, who knows a lot about football in that area, has sung the kid's praises. Ramelo Murphy's going to play this year.
Yeah, so the situation with him was he actually was in Northern California. The coaching staff knew him, and then he played a year at Santa Margarita and became friends with Noah and T-Mac and Burnett and those guys. And as soon as he hit the portal, they vouched for him. He's got family in Tucson. I think it's his dad that's in Tucson or something like that. So he's comfortable here already. He's unique. He's what you want your slot receiver to look like, right? 6 foot, 185, fast, can stretch the field. I mean, you take a look at his catches last year. His average catch was 18 yards.
And let's be honest here. When you're a true freshman at Old Dominion, I know it's Old Dominion. I don't care if it's New Dominion or Old Dominion. If you're a freshman at that, if freshman there, and you get 600 yards, three, 4 touchdowns, he was productive. And when they played the one good team, what was the one good team they played last year? Liberty.
He wasn't a freshman last year, but yeah.
I mean, it's a sophomore. Sorry, whatever. But
they played, Last year, his best game was, I don't know, he had a bunch of 4 catches, like 80-yard games last year.
But I thought they played a top 25 team or something, or a team
James
that was
Madison, he had 5 catches for 70 yards.
There it is, James Madison, very good last year. But that was my point, though, is just that, I think he's gonna open some eyeballs. I really do.
Old Dominion had one of the worst offenses in the country, statistically, all that. I mean, it was just a flat-out bad offense. It is very difficult to look at that offense on that team. I'm looking up the quarterback stats because I actually was looking at this the other day, Mike, and it was like insanely bad. So I wanna just read them if I could find them.
Yeah.
Their running back, their quarterback completed 57% of his passes, 7 yards of completion, 17 touchdowns, 8 picks. Was sacked 52 times.
So you believe that Noah Fafita is better than that?
Yeah, sacked 52 times.
Yeah, that's insane.
Their offense was just flat out bad. I don't look at Ramelo's numbers and go, oh man, he should have done better. It's Old Dominion. I actually look at him the opposite way, going, man, 18 yards a catch for an offensive line that clearly couldn't block is pretty darn good.
And a quarterback that couldn't throw as well. So you got to factor that in as well. All right. Now, again, I'm pretty bullish on the receivers. Granted, I know that there's only one that's proven, but we've also seen positions in the past here at the U of A where we're like, man, there is no potential for those players to be good. No potential. There's a lot of potential for these players to be good.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to make the argument that there's still some questions about the wide receiver group, I agree with it, but it's not bad. It's got a very high upside.